What's up, guys? So today I have got a really interesting video for you, and it is about something that we literally do every single day that literally helps us move forward as a society, and I have never thought about it. So we are going to watch When Did Americans Lose the British Accent? And before we start, I know on my last actual historical video, there's a lot wrong with it and everything like that. I don't know if this is going to be 100% correct. I have no idea. So if you have different answers, could you please put them in the comments? But be nice. Thanks. All right, let's get started.
Maybe you've never thought of it this way, but colonial Americans spoke and behaved far closer to British than to American. Many early Americans still considered themselves British in the colonial days, hence patriots versus loyalists. But when did the American brand actually start? When did we stop bowing, start shaking hands, and stop speaking British? Let's address a myth
I want to
first.
know.
The American accent isn't some sort of new invention. It's actually an old one. In the 1700s, British English was not the Queen's English that we think of now. The British sounds, right? I'm sorry. Anyway, instead, British English was rhotic, meaning they pronounced the R in words like hard, bar, and car. At the back end of the American Revolution, around the mid to late 1700s, the London elites began practicing non-rhoticity to sound more sophisticated and avoid association with the ungrateful younger brothers overseas, yes, but mostly to distance themselves from the poor, low-born people around them. And this is really neat. The Americans were...
So the rich have always been like this. I'm just kidding. That's just silly. They literally decided to change the way they were speaking because they didn't want to sound like a commoner. That's silly.
Were new and demanding independence, so you'd think they would be the ones to quickly change the way they speak, but that's just not the case. Americans didn't develop a new accent. We just kept the one we had and gradually changed it while England moved on considerably sooner and far more intentionally. Put another way, before and during the Revolution, the average redcoat and the average patriot were speaking with similar accents. So, in practice, the American accent kind of froze many of the English sounds of the 1700s. King George III of back then probably sounded a lot more American than King Charles. Ooh. Somebody please give me a good explanation as to why this portrait looks the way it does. We stayed Elizabethan, and they went posh. And this is really important.
So what I'm hearing is that I sound a lot more British than British people. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
As class and national themes. In the US, liberty and equality were massive virtues and still are now. And not to say that those virtues are not present in the UK today, but there's a clear discrepancy in that birthright hierarchy still stands as a major recognized institution. And we can't skip over the demographic changes here either, as the early American West, for example, was a melting pot of German, Irish, and Scandinavian influences, while Great Britain just remained far more homogenous for much longer. But there's more here. With speech changes comes reading and writing changes. Have you ever wondered why Americans and Brits, Americans and Brits, there we go, have different spellings for words like color? Of course you have. Look, I'm in your brain already, which I'm sure is massive and juicy, lots of wrinkles, yeah. For this spelling thing, we can thank Noah Webster. Yes, that Webster. He thought that as long as Americans used British spelling, they were still mentally enslaved to the crown. He wanted an American language that was as lean and efficient as the people. And many of his suggestions gained massive traction in the late 18th century and stuck around till today.
That makes sense.
He chopped the U out of honor. He flipped the R-E in theater to theater. These seem perfect.
Are you kidding me? He's the reason for that stupid freaking... That word, theater, is the most frustrating word for me because it's literally spelled the exact same way, just reversed the last two letters. And I hate this man for doing it.
Normal to the average American nowadays, but get this, there were more rejected changes than accepted ones. I'll show you a few, and I think you'll really like this. He wanted
Okay.
to change tongue to tongue, believe to
Ew.
believe, machine to machine, soup
Ew.
to soup, daughter to daughter, head to head, and my personal favorite, women to women. And I really like this one, but because first it's just funny, all right? And secondly, it cleans up that weird pronunciation dilemma we have with the singular and plural sounding nearly identical
No.
when read literally, which was a problem
Women, woman. They sound entirely different. What the heck is he? No.
even back then. Webster's solution was practical, and guess what? Most Americans still vocalize women just as Webster had it spelled. But his superior spelling was ultimately rejected because people found the spelling to be too ugly. Let me know in the comments, which alternative Webster spelling should we reintroduce today? And tell me how we
None.
should fix this women problem.
We should even go back on theater and make it theater. I am so sorry for that.
Oh man, that sounds bad, but you know what I mean. The point here is that the speech changing along with the spelling was an attempt at a psychological breakaway from the British, and it worked. Sooner or later, Webster was able to rewire the American brain to see Britishness as an extra, unnecessary piece of baggage. By 1790, acting British
I don't think it is. I would much rather be over there.
was socially dangerous. If you carried yourself like a duke, people assumed you wanted the redcoats back. They thought you were, a bit posh, perhaps bougie. Being practical,
Right.
common, maybe even a bit plain was valuable both for the theme of equality as well as distance from Brittany. I just made that common noun up, but funny how you know exactly what I mean. Take a handshake, for example.
Okay.
In London, a bow was a physical map of who was above whom. But in Philadelphia, the handshake became the law of the land. It was a
Right.
radical, metaphorical middle finger to the class system. You look a man in the
Still
eye and
is.
grip his hand. A display that we overlook now, but directly respects the language from the Declaration against Great Britain that all men are created equal. Benjamin Franklin was really good at this. He would show up
got
to
it.
important events dressed
Because they wouldn't you know how the Japanese bow? They'll go lower if they are lower than who they're talking to or who they want to talk to. I'm assuming that that's what they mean by they used to bow to show authority. So I'm assuming they would bow lower if they were at a lower stature of the person that they were bowing to. So I don't remember where I was going with that, but yes, that.
humbly, even showing up to the French court in a raccoon hat and plain brown suit. Everyone else was in powdered wigs
What?
and silk stockings, even the men. It seems unserious, but this representation of the American public as simple, somewhat rugged, was effective in securing French alliance against the British. I have a whole video on why Benjamin Franklin wasn't a president and really was just a goofy guy, if you're interested. Now, you think this trend from Franklin
Right.
of being distinctly rustic and specifically anti-posh to contrast against the British would have translated to other founding fathers and early presidents. But this just didn't happen, not for a while. In fact, for the first 40 years, US presidents were still Virginia gentlemen, if you will.
Isaac
They
Newton.
spoke with a refined, rhythmic cadence. Then came 1828, and this absolute menace of a man became the 7th president, Andrew Jackson. He ran on and embraced the persona of the regular
Yeah,
man and woman,
crazy
and while he
year.
wasn't the most morally upstanding figure to say the least, he was dedicated to the average person. He may have been the only true common man president that the US has ever had. Let me know if you agree with that
Gotcha.
statement. I mean, just think, when's the last time we had a regular guy be president?
He resembles Palm Beach Pete. If you know who that is, that's scary.
I hit 17 straight three-pointers.
Probably be for the better, right? Anyway, Jackson's inauguration was closer to a riot than a ceremony like we're used to now. No, really, it was an actual riot. Thousands of common people flooded the White House. They tracked mud on the expensive rugs, they broke fine china, and they forced the president to escape through a side door while the staff lured the mob outside with tubs of spiked punch. And now we close our eyes
Wow.
and visualize what that may have looked like. Look, guys, leave the president alone. Look, there's alcohol outside. And that's all it took. Man, we used to be a country, man. We used to be,
That would be all it took now for a lot of people.
To British observers, presumably with their noses upturned, this must have been the end of days. To Americans, it was the birth of the frontier identity. This is the moment we traded the salon for the saloon. We stopped trying to be refined and started being authentic. This is where the American voice gets faster, louder, and more utilitarian. Something interesting though we should note here, specifically with accents, is that we kind of went backwards. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, wealthy Americans got accent envy again, let's say. This created the mid-Atlantic accent, that weird half-British voice you hear in old movies, or from like Franklin D. Roosevelt's a good example of this, that weird like fake accent. Some schools even taught it to make Americans just sound better, more upper class. So
a lot of movies from this time period use a mid-Atlantic accent, and so I can't do it, so I'm not even gonna try. But if you go and watch any movie from this time period, or if you go and watch, I'm pretty sure just about any Marilyn Monroe movie, you're gonna hear the mid-Atlantic accent some.
So to speak. But this ultimately failed. Why? Because the pioneer identity was just too strong already. After World War II, the mid-Atlantic accent died. Trying to sound elite just wasn't cool. It was very un-American. And there's definitely some subtext with that one. So, when did we stop acting British, speaking British? It wasn't a single day. Nothing in history is that fast. Instead, it was a 50-year slow fade from the halls of Parliament to the mud of the Tennessee frontier. Early American history gets skipped over, and it sucks because there's a lot of cool stuff. And I like showing off the weird parts and answering the burning questions. Click here to see why America abruptly stopped expanding its borders. If you learned something new, drop me a like, become a member if you want to support me, and I'll see you there. Maybe you've never...
Okay, so that was extremely interesting because, I mean, I have literally never thought about that, about how we spoke and how we continued speaking, and like the differences between us and the British, and the possible kind of generational, I'm gonna say hatred, but I don't mean hatred, just like disdain maybe. But the the generational disdain from the British to the Americans, and from the Americans to the British. It goes both ways. Trust me, I have seen and felt that, especially starting this channel. But yeah, that's just fascinating to learn that a lot of changes that were made had to do with like jealousy, and that's why we talk the way we talk. That is fascinating to me. I need to learn more about this. I'm going to research this because it's just fascinating. I wonder if I could do like, I don't think I could do like a full talking video like me, but I mean, I wonder if I could find more videos on this topic that go deeper, because I really would like to know like exactly what happened and like about when and things like that. So my question for you is actually it's kind of random. It has to do with the video, but it doesn't have to do with the video. But what are some of your vocal stems, or just when you're like talking in the opposite accent? So Brits, you talk in an American accent, Americans, British accent. What's your favorite thing to say in that accent? That's my question for you, because I love hearing people's vocal stems and like people's like just like annoying tendencies and just things like that. I think they are so funny to know and to get stuck in, you know, my head as well. And yeah, so please comment below and let me know. But that is it for this video. So if you enjoy my content and you like my videos, please subscribe. It really helps me and it helps my channel. And like, share, comment, do all the things. And I will see you next time. Bye!